afternoon, and welcome to BBC Two.
Hello and welcome to Back to the 80s, the podcast that travels back through time in a rose-tinted DeLorean. Yes, folks, it's that time of the week again where I, Dreadwind, aka Glenn, take someone away in the old nostalgises, kidnap them throughout space and time, and return them back to the place where it always goes. Back to the 80s. It's a good segue. This week, joining me, it's an old friend. She hasn't been on in a little while, but she was last here for the advert Avalanche, which was 2 episodes that were a bitch to edit, but it was worth it in the end. I think I thought they came out really well. It is, of course, your friend of mine from World of Crap. It is, of course, Jenny.
Hi, lads.
Hello.
I don't remember doing 2 episodes. I remember doing 1.
It was one massive long episode. I basically turned it into 2.
Because you tweeted that, and I'm like, wait, was I on drugs or something? I don't remember that.
Basically, what it was, I edited it, and I thought, yeah, this is going to be way too long, so I can get 2 episodes out of this. Okay. So it was 2 episodes. I think it's because we forgot that we had to add adverts as well, and adverts are time.
This is true.
Yeah.
And time is money. And what is money? Points, prizes, etc.
And you don't get anything for a pair.
No.
Not in this game. And remember, stay out of the black and in the red.
Is that the end
in this game,
now?
2 in the bed. Pretty much. Why not? We might. we just have bullseye references for Bunty Hoven. There you go. She loves a bullseye reference, and it was a birthday recently. So happy birthday, Hannah. Hope you won't listen to this, but never mind. You doing all right?
I am. Yeah. A couple of things to say. Right. Just before I forget, if there's any listeners in the Birmingham area, right, is this going out like before next month?
Hopefully this weekend.
Oh, brilliant. Right, okay. If you're around Birmingham, Electric Cinema next month are doing a screening of The Room.
Cool.
We're all over that. We've got tickets. We thought we'll buy tickets, we'll make sure we've got ours, and then we'll tell other people about it.
I'm too good for this world.
Oh, God, I love it so much. I love it. So, the thing is, right, honestly, I swear, I look right like the woman who plays Lisa in the face. So I reckon all I've got to do is put like a blonde wig on and I can cosplay as Lisa.
Be careful, Tommy might try and fuck you. You don't want that.
And I got to Birmingham.
I've seen his ass, and you don't want. Looks like a boiled horse.
But yeah, we're down for that. So I think it's the 21st of July, but it's around then. So if you look on the Electric Cinema website, they've still got tickets left.
Cool.
So yeah, that's going to be all kinds of awesome.
She's a vet now, isn't she? She's a veterinary nurse.
Who? The bird
Lisa.
Lisa.
Yeah.
What's her name? Juliet. I can't.
I used to follow her on Twitter, and I don't anymore. But anyway, I still need to see The Disaster Artist, the one with James Franco.
That's really good.
It does, and it's James Franco and Dave Franco, so it should be all right. But,
I was in the doctor's office a few months back. Well, I say doctor's, it was the walk-in centre, so I was in there for fucking hours, right? All that business with my face. Anyway, you know what I mean? All that business with my nose and the sinuses. Anyway, I was sat next to a woman for 3 hours. You know the kind of people that refer to magazines as books?
Yes.
She was those people, and she kept saying to the woman next to her, "Do you want to borrow my book? Do you want to have a look at my book?" And then, to her horror, I thought, I'm going to get my book out. I got an actual book out, Disaster Artist, and started reading it. And then she got bored and she started chatting to me. And she's like, "What's your book about?" And I was having to try and explain what the sodding Disaster Artist was about. Good job I didn't bring Martin Amis.
See, I don't get that. In what universe do strangers think it's okay to talk to a stranger?
I'll tell you what universe, Doctor's Waiting Room.
Oh, well, it's not. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But
Don't just go up to a stranger and start talking to them. Fuck off. I don't want to talk. If I'm not talking to you, there's a reason I'm not talking to you. Don't want to.
My sister's in adversity, it was fine. But to be honest, I did my best to explain it.
Yeah.
But then she just looked at me like I was mental. Like I was reading sort of, Dostoevsky in the original Russian or something.
Right.
And then she just sort of stopped and started reading chat again. So anyway.
Oh, well, there you go. That's your problem.
It's a great film, so you should definitely watch it.
Good. I shall definitely watch it. I'm sure it'll be on Now TV very soon on Netflix. I've got Netflix now.
He rented it on Amazon, I think.
Oh, I see. And I don't trust Amazon. But I do trust Netflix, and I'm not paying for it. So, there you go. I was watching, catching up on that 70s show. I was watching loads of that the other day. So, woohoo! There you go.
Never seen one of them. I have no idea. Never seen.
It's worth it for Red Foreman, who's played by Kurtwood Smith, who is... you've seen RoboCop, yeah?
I've seen of it.
All right. Well, he's the bad guy in RoboCop. But he plays this kid's dad, and he's awesome. He's, like typical sitcom dad, but better. Anyway, what else have you been up to?
Well, I've been trying to get a thing off the ground for Dinner Geek. Now,
Yes.
I mean, you know a bit about this, but a few weeks ago, I wrote an article for Dinner Geek, why you should share content online. You know, if there's a blogger or a YouTuber or whatever, or a podcast that only gets 8 readers or viewers or whatever, and you think it's really good, I do think it's kind of your duty to share it. Because
I think so.
We're increasingly getting into this thing where, things are popular because they're popular. And it's this snowball effect. And genuinely good stuff gets kind of pushed out of the way by this avalanche of shite. Just because it gets 10 million retweets or something. Nobody actually likes it and thinks it's great. But it's the thing to do. So they share it because, I don't know why. The point is, we're not a massive site, but we're quite a big site. So I want to try and give a leg up to, the smaller creators out there.
Yeah.
Without wanting to sound too fancy. So, just things like I'm looking for things like podcasts. Obviously, I can't recommend you.
No, because you keep being on it.
I know, and I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But I mean, otherwise I totally would. Podcasts, YouTubes, fan sites, blogs, that kind of thing. Anything like that, I'm willing to give a leg up to. I thought it was really nice because the first article I wrote, somebody in the comments did recommend World of Crap to me. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I know about that one.
Yeah, so I had to go on and be like, I'm really sorry, I am World of Crap, I can't recommend myself. But that was lovely. But yeah, the point is, if you've got any recommendations for things like that, hit me up on Twitter. Sort of let me know what it is.
At the World of Crap, just in case you didn't know what the Twitter was.
Yeah, now I will just say, it's kind of use your own judgment with this. I don't mind people just recommending themselves.
Yeah.
But, don't be a dick about it.
Don't recommend channels and stuff that have already got a lot of listeners. Like sort of, PewDiePie. No, he's fine. He's doing okay.
Yeah, I do keep having that problem. People recommend what they think. I mean, this is part of the problem. People think a channel with 100,000 subscribers isn't doing very well. Well, I'm here to tell you it's doing fine. I'm looking for people with
100.
Yeah, exactly. Something that's really, really good and that just doesn't get enough love. The working title for this series at the moment is Geek Showcase. So it's going to be something like that, and I've made a really crappy Photoshop logo for the series with a Mr. T sticker on it. So it'll be exciting when you see that.
I'm always excited about that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it really. I just wanted to let you guys know about that, and I'm sure your listeners are into all manner of, niche stuff and fandom, and
absolutely.
I'm sure when I say niche stuff, I don't want to make out the perverts or anything.
Anything Rule 34-y, yeah.
Dinosaur
porn.
But I will. To be fair, if there is a really, really, really well done dinosaur porn site,
I know of at least 2.
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be very well done.
Oh, yeah.
You sounded like Tim Taylor then.
Well, there you go. Thank you.
Right. That's all I've been doing, because the only other thing I've been doing is watching the World Cup. And
you have.
Let's not get on that again. Although your plan to beat Portugal is phenomenal. So.
Yes, my plan to beat Portugal, which is very Don Revy circa 1972. Call up a guy from Rotherham, sort of a centre back.
What's Rotherham?
From the Northern League. What have you been brought up there? Was it Denny McNain or whatever? I don't know. Boss says I'm good. Yeah, boss says check out Ronaldo, break his fucking legs, get sent off so we can beat Portugal, because they're basically a one-man team at this point.
I'll buy you Greg's at half-time if you do it.
As many steak bakes as you want. Innit?
That is exactly why we should be England manager. Like join.
Absolutely. Well, I do look a bit like Mike Bassett, so yeah, why not? England are playing 4-4-2. That's a great film.
And then we'll watch the series, which I've never seen before. But
I've never seen, but I'm assuming it'll be good.
It is. It's brilliant. It's all I do.
It's Ricky Tomlinson, isn't it? So
it's mostly the same people, but he's managing Wirral County, and he's got to stop him getting relegated.
Wirral County, Tranmere, then.
Yeah.
Wirral County, love it. But yes, I've been watching the World Cup too. It's been very good so far.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. I mean, I'm going to enjoy more matches. England won, so I'm happy about that. People are still moaning about the fact that England won. Well, it won a very good performance. Well, you clearly know nothing about football then, do you? I think they did very, very well, and it was a hard match. They came up against opposition that didn't want to play, and they still won 2-1. They scored 2 good goals.
Oh, speaking of don't want to play, have you seen the score?
Have I seen what, sorry?
Have you seen the score?
Oh, what is it now?
1-0.
Spain?
Yes.
Iran? Oh.
Yes.
Do you know what? I won't put anything past Iran, and I won't put anything past Spain. I remember when they were world champions last time, and then they were out first round.
I didn't know you weren't watching it anymore. I should have told you Iran were winning 6-0. That would have been amazing.
That'd be awesome.
And you'd have fell for it, because you're silly.
Thanks.
Okay.
So I have got you on here. I don't know why now, but, I have got you on here. We were going to talk about sort of forgotten cartoons of the 80s, stuff that doesn't get repeated anymore. And that sort of gets left out of the nostalgia boom for one reason or another.
Well, I'll give you a bit of context. Hang on a minute, because I'm repeating on myself. And not in an injection kind of way. Okay? I think we're fine. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you.
Excellent. I'm sure you'll just do some editing and magic that bit out.
I won't.
So I wrote an article for a website called Squiggly. I guess if you link to it in the show notes for this.
I certainly will, yeah.
So those odd little 5-minute filler cartoons you used to get. 80s, I mean, this is the thing, 80s, 90s crossover again. But for the purposes of this, we'll call it 80s. A lot of them were just British produced, very cheap, shoddily done.
Yes.
And the big thing about them, their trademark was kind of 5-minute cartoon, 4.5 minutes of which were taken up with a theme song.
Yeah, like, good example of that, Perishes.
Oh, now, that's something that's passed me by. Was that originally a newspaper comic? Because I never saw it.
Yeah, it was originally in the Daily Mirror, and they made a cartoon of it in the 70s with Leonard Rossiter as the voice of the dog. It's kind of like our version of Peanuts.
That's cool, yep. It's probably, that is probably exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. I mean, things like Family Nest, Penny Crayon, Poddington Peas, and
Jimbo,
exactly, and sodding people, bane of my life.
Ugh, Poddington Peas.
Right, well, okay, let's start with Poddington Peas, because this is a good example of those shows where the producers were all like pissed in the pub one night, I assume. They literally came up with, what if people but X? It's one of those what if people but X shows. So, I know, lads, what if people but peas? Oh, it's genius. What if people but shoes? What? What about it? Do you have any more development of that? No, they're just shoes. Anyway, so Poddington Peas is what if people but peas, and there's literally no plot that relates to them being peas. You don't explore the difficulties and the sort of the ethical implications of being a pea, or the society hierarchies in the pea world. One of them nearly falls over or play football, or one of them wants to win a talent competition. People things. They don't need to be peas. They should have just called it the people. These shows should just be called people.
Well, it's the Smurfs, isn't it? They're all sort of take off of the Smurfs, this sort of shit, because they all had names relating to, like the Smurf, like Brainy Smurf or Creepy Smurf or Serial Killer Smurf. You remember them? Yeah. They're all like them. So you've got like my favourite is Black Eyed Pea. So he's a mischievous pea with a black eye patch.
Yes.
He was a villain, and it was creepy as well.
Now, have you seen? Did you spot the elephant in the room with Poddington Peas?
No women, hardly any women.
No, the two bad peas were dark.
Yes, well, that's always the way, isn't it? You know what they're like, and all that. I voted for Brexit, etc.
There was absolutely no reason to do it, but
no.
Somehow, I mean, this is really a long time before identity politics, social media, virtue signaling, anything like that. What kind of point were they trying to make? I don't understand. Am I just really naive with this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were trying to make a point as such. I think they just thought if evil things like black, it's like the Jerry Anderson Captain Black argument, isn't it? They're saying black because he's evil because all black people are evil. It's like, well, no, it's just that black or dark colours are traditionally the colours of evil, the powers of darkness and all that. I don't think they were making a comment on ethnicity somehow. I can't see it anyway.
I hope you're right, because it's a bad enough show anyway. Okay.
Well, to be fair, they're creative types, and creative types tend not to be that racist.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. It's always
unless you love Lovecraft, obviously.
It just always struck me as weird. So the plot. Let me see how many peas I can remember.
Okay, I've got a list here. I'll take him off.
These are real peas, not shit made up.
Yeah, no, these are real.
Right, dump pea.
Dump pea, yes.
Which is the fat one, and it's funny because he's a beast.
Because fat people are funny.
Well, they are. So that's just a fact. You'll just get used to it. Tea pea, who makes the tea.
Yes. Sweet
Pea, who is the girl one, and her personality is that she's the girl one.
Yes. Like Smurfette.
Yes, exactly. She's Smurfette in people. Happy, which is basically they sat in the pub and they're like, right, lads, how many pea puns can we come up with in 3 minutes or under? It's like played like niche boggle or something.
My personal favourite, GP.
That's not.
Who is a doctor?
He is not. That's not a real one. Is it?
That's a real one. Yeah. He's the Dr. P who has white hair, glasses, and a stethoscope.
I say GP. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
While I remember, I must just ask this on Alex's behalf, because obviously I've been making him watch a lot of Poddington Peas with me. And his main question is, where do you stick it in a pea?
In the pod.
In the pod. What if it's out of the pod? Like, what if it's just a pea? Like, does it have Does it have an opening, or do you release spores?
Does it have a penis?
Yeah.
I don't think they thought that far ahead.
Right, no, I need to know how peas have sex. And I'm not going to do anything stupid like Google.
Well, they're plants, so they don't have sex as such. It'll be all pollen, won't it? And seeds.
Hot pea sex in your area tonight. Hot
exactly.
Sluts in your area.
Hot. I thought, probably get distributed by bees or something. I don't know.
So yeah,
it's all very underdeveloped.
I like that we've really delved into the plot and the characterisation of this show.
Yeah, there was loads of plot in Poddington Peas.
Okay, the one episode I really remember watching the other day was Dumpy. He went to TP's cafe, which was in some teapot, some abandoned teapot, and yet all the cakes. But then he didn't have any money, and so he's going to do a runner. The shit. And he must have, seriously, he must have known that he didn't have any money when he ordered all that stuff. So he's already a shit. Anyway, he tried to leave and he couldn't because he'd put so much weight on him in the intervening half an hour that he couldn't get out. So they kept him prisoner and they made him stay there and do all the washing up all night to pay for his cakes. And then when it got to the morning, he miraculously lost all the weight again. And he could leave. And the story is, if you're going to go to a restaurant, don't do a runner on a restaurant, I think, is the moral of the story.
Just like that morning, was it Morning Shine? What was that? That washing up liquid. Morning Shine or whatever it was. Really cheap stuff. And there's that couple who were... that they didn't have enough money to pay. He'd forgotten his wallet, so they were in a restaurant and he'd forgotten his wallet. And the Brigadier out of Doctor Who made them wash up. And then he made them wash up some more and said it was a service charge.
Oh, mean.
Yeah, well, he's the Brigadier. He is mean.
All right, then. Where do you keep your money if you're a pea?
In your pea hole?
No, it's not a joke. No.
I don't know. Where do you keep your money in your pea?
Everything's a joke with you, Glenn. Oh, my God.
Oh, no, is this some sort of comedy podcast?
Yeah, you wish.
Fuck you, then. I thought you were my friend. Clearly not.
But, alright, if you're a pea, then you clearly don't have a sodding wallet. Do they have a system of money?
It must be like...
pay each other in sexual favours, which brings me back to my last question. Where do you stick it in a pea?
I don't know. It must be like being a woman, because there's no pockets.
Yeah, we're not allowed. Honestly, right, I keep buying jeans, and then I find they've got no pockets in them.
Aesthetic pockets.
Oh no, I hate that so much. Because I like to mooch around with my hands in my pockets, and I hate it. I'm always trying to stick my hands in my pockets, and I can't. So, instead, I'm going around Tesco, and I'll just stick my hands down my jeans instead, and I'll forget them.
Great. That's what we all want to see. You rummaging with your bits. Great.
Yeah, well, here's a message to, people who make women's jeans. If you don't want women to do that, you better make us some pockets, please.
You're women, aren't you? Can't you make your own?
No.
You're good at sewing and shit, are you?
No, I need to get Sweet Pea to come and sew me some jeans.
She'd totally do that.
Yeah. Do you want to move to the next nominative determinism styled show?
Go on, then.
Alright, since we're on a roll with this. The sodding people.
Oh, God. Shoopy-doopy-doopy-doo. I always think of Sunday morning TVAM just before Frost. Because that's when he was shown.
Were you a kid waiting to see Frost on Sunday?
Yeah, because TVAM Sunday morning was a bit weird. Because you had stuff before TVAM. So you had Frost on Sunday, which obviously you're not interested in because you're a kid. And who cares about politics when you're a kid? Apart from me, obviously. So you've got this weird... And it's the 80s, so they've got to get some form of religion in there as well. So you had Alvin Stardust with Bible stories, if you remember that. Parables... Something like Bibles, Parables and Miracles or something it was called.
No, but I want to YouTube the shit out of that. Who did that?
Good.
Stardust?
Alvin Stardust, because obviously he found God, did Alvin. And for a long time would only sing songs about God and stuff. And that's fair enough, no problem. So you had him. You had something with Dick King-Smith as well, of Babe fame. And also this weird programme, like Down on a Farmyard, with John Wells, of all people, the comedian, the satirist, talking to puppet cows. It was weird. And then you had the fucking Shoe People, and then you'd have Frost. So I remember not liking Shoe People much.
No.
But you can't dislike it too much, because it was the executive producer on it was called Graham Clutterbuck.
Really? Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's Paul Neitz, who made Poddington Peas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The weird thing, the voices on the Shoe People, it was Joe Wyatt, who was, I think she was like an impersonator and things like that, and Philip Whitchurch. Now, if you don't know Philip Whitchurch, you'll certainly know the characters he played, because he was someone in Sharp. It was Fredrickson, Captain Fredrickson. More famously, he was on the bill. He was Cato.
Okay, I'm sure that means a lot to a lot of people.
He was the Liverpudlian bald scouse chief inspector type.
Okay.
He used to tell Tosh off a lot. You'd think you'd know that.
Oh, no, I only watched it with Tosh, and I was only about 3 when I did. More importantly, which shoot did he play?
I think he played all the male ones, I'm guessing.
Well, that's just sexist.
Because there was only to be fair, there were only 2 voices. There was him and Joe Wyatt, and that was it.
In my defence, I never even noticed. I assumed there were loads of them all like huddled around a microphone.
Yeah. The other weird thing about the Shoe People is that the theme song was written by Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues. Really?
Oh, no.
And this is amazing, this fact. It was the first series from the West to be shown in the former Soviet Union and became so popular it sold over 25 million Shoe People books. Shoo glasnost. Shoo-be-doo-be-doo-be-doo, shoo glasnost. Wow.
You got her books subject up there.
That's amazing. That is amazing. It was on TVAM and it was on CITV as well. It was taken off TVAM because TVM died and gave rise to GMTV. And GMTV quite rightly said, no, thank you. There were 26 episodes made. There was an original series of 26 and then another series of 26, which is called The New Adventures of the Shoe People.
That's correct too. How many shows did you say were made? 12.
One season of 26, another season of 26.
No, what actually happened was there was one episode made and then that was repeated 26 times.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So,
it's like the one episode of Pokemon I keep seeing. I've only ever seen one episode of Pokemon. And it's always the same episode when I switch on the telly and it's on.
It pretty much always is the same episode anyway. Like the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, from what I've heard of Pokemon, it might just be different episodes, but the same episode.
Lot of the Shoe People is, right, are you ready for this, lads?
Oh, yeah.
What if people but their shoes? Oh,
nice.
God.
Nice.
What if? Well, what do you say to that?
I'm gonna say it was still shite. It wasn't very good.
No, so they wander around. It's for some right. Okay, there's a cobbler's shop, which is appropriate. And in the back room of the cobbler's, they've got some shoes that people haven't come to pick up.
Yeah.
That's it. And then, just because they don't want to explain anything else about it, they just have it cut to a magic world.
Yeah.
Where
it's basically, he puts loads of shoes in the reject bin. Blum, 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 blum. Look into the reject bin, 'cause it's the Raggy Dolls. Raggy Dolls. Dolls like you and me. We're totally talking about the Raggy Dolls in a minute, by the way.
We are. That was a very, very good show, and I have nothing against the Raggy Dolls. The Shoe People pisses on the legacy of the Raggy Dolls.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was, 1987 to 1992? How did it last 5 years? Basically, it's like a cross between Raggy Dolls and Jimmy and the Magic Torch.
Yes, but I would say it's more. It's certainly a sister show to, like, Poddington Peas.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think it's the same people, isn't it? Same people created it.
I'm surprised. Is it Paul Neitz?
Possibly.
Surprised. Okay, so there are. I mean, to be fair, they don't even really do the shoe puns. They don't. They're even too lazy to do sodding shoe puns for this. Okay, they do. I think they do have one called Wellington, which is a name, and it's a type of shoe, so fine. But the rest of them, you've got Charlie, who is like a clown shoe. You've got Trampy, who is a boot. You've got Flip Flop. Guess what she is?
Is she a flip flop?
Might be. And then there's Margot, who is the ballerina shoe. And then there's PC boot, and there's an army one, like a sergeant or some sergeant major.
Sergeant Major.
Yeah.
And you got my personal favourite, Gilda van der Clog.
Was this New Adventures? I never saw her.
Oh, Jesus.
Have you seen New Adventures of the Shoe People?
No new characters are down the bottom. You've got Officer Malone, who's a cop from New York City. You've got Beverly, who's come all the way from LA to shoot down. Bebop and Lula, the 50s couple. Toby, who's an actor, and you've got Sasha, who's a Russian boot, who comes all the way from Russia, surprisingly enough.
How did they swing that in the Russian version?
Well, I'm guessing Sasha is because of the Russian version.
Oh, right, I wonder if they made Sasha, like, English and everyone else Russian.
No, Sasha will be a Russian character, won't she? Or him, to be fair. Sasha's a male name, isn't it? I'm guessing Sasha was a reaction to the fact that it was popular in the former Soviet Union.
It was a cowboy boot, because I remember seeing a cowboy boot somewhere.
Let's have a look.
Like I put any effort at all into this.
Yeah. Cowboy boot. I can't see it, but I might be looking too hard.
Well, I'll have a look, because he's like in the intro, he's like on a shelf or something.
Yeah.
I remember thinking at the time, like, you never see the cowboy boot. I want to know the cowboy boot. It's always that fucking trampy one. And the
There's one who it's got like a baseball boot who's called Coach. Yeah.
And
I mean, it was not Charlton and the Wheelies, was it?
No, sorry, I can't talk about Charlton and the Wheelies for personal reasons. For personal sexy reasons, I can't talk about Charlton and the Wheelies.
Hang on, what? Personal sexy reasons?
Yeah, a bit.
You fancy Charlton?
I'm sure I've told you this before. This.
I think I would remember this.
It's not really much of an anecdote, but one night, me and an old boyfriend were sort of getting down to it, only we'd left a DVD running. We'd left like a Cult Kids Classics DVD running, and
I think I have that DVD. I wasn't a boyfriend.
In an important bit, really loud, Charlton and the Wheelies theme song starts up on a loop, and plays suspended.
That was the soundtrack to your love making.
Pretty much. I don't want to talk about Charlton and the Wheelies, thanks.
Well, at least it wasn't Button Moon.
That would have been alright. That was quite relaxing, but Charlton and the Wheelies, it's very bouncy carry-on style, isn't it?
Yeah. Bow, 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 bow.
And
the worst thing, it's got the whistle on it as well. Like, woo!
So you see my predicament.
I think it's hilarious, yeah, but...
So, the shoe people...
Yes, the shoe people.
The shoe people, the plot had absolutely nothing... If you thought Poddington Peas had nothing to do with them being peas, the fucking shoe people have nothing to do with them being shoes.
No, nothing at all.
No, absolutely nothing.
Which is pointless. It's pointless when they do that.
Yep. Exactly, it's lazy. If you're going to have a show about what if thing, but thing, at least make it relevant. But there are shows that have made it relevant. But it's just, this is rubbish.
Bobbins.
You might as well just have called it People.
I think that's why it doesn't get remembered. I think that's one of the reasons it just doesn't, because it was bland. There was nothing there.
Exactly. I do remember there being loads of shoe people kind of cashing merchandise around at the time.
Oh yeah, well, it was one of those things, wasn't it? It's like sort of preschooly marketable stuff. If you just stick it on a lunchbox or a book and it will sell. And I don't remember it selling. I don't remember it being popular.
You've just reminded me of a dream I had last night, where I found, in a second-hand shop, I found a Mr. T lunchbox. Wow, that was great.
I used to have a Mr. T t-shirt, like 16 years ago. I found it. It was fucking nice. It was brilliant. I lost it, and I don't remember losing it. It's one of those things that I don't remember not having it.
No.
And I'd love to have found it again. There's no bloody way now, because it was like, say, 16 years ago. But it was nice. It was like fluorescent orange and everything. All those sort of good Mr. T colours, you know? And it was the cartoon Mr. T as well.
I was going to say we should talk about Mr. T cartoon.
Mr. T. I've got a story about that. We had ages ago, like years and years ago, back when the podcast first started, we had Flint Dilly on, the cartoon writer and game writer and stuff. And he told us about Mr. T. And when he used to work for the network and he was writing this stuff, they had a network guy come in, because they had to. It wasn't in syndication. It was sort of like they had to have like standards and practices.
Right.
And they would count. You know, he travelled around with this troop of marauding gymnasts for some reason or other. Because it was ethnically diverse and they were into that, every person had to have the same, not only word count, but letter count.
No way.
So they would count how many words and letters that everybody had and that everybody spoke. It had to be the same.
That is amazing.
And when you're a writer, can you imagine having that imposed on you?
I can't imagine being a writer, to be fair, so no.
Even though you are.
I know. Oh God, that's amazing though. How do they manage it?
It was astounding, the sort of shackles they put on writers and creative type. Because, you know, it's not always going to be relevant to have every single member in there every week. Because there were a lot of them. There were like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then you had to have Mr. T, who's the star, so he should get the lion's share of everything anyway.
Yeah.
He shouldn't get the same amount of lines as fucking little Billy or whatever he's fucking... I don't remember any of their names apart from Mr. T. And you had that dog with a mohawk.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah. Oh my God.
And he was clearly not Mr. T doing the voice of Mr. T.
I was going to say...
I don't think he was. He was at the start and end of every show. Because he did the start and end.
Yeah.
He used to come on and say, "It's the MASH show, the best show." Mr. T. I love Mr. T, right?
Do that again. I like Mr. T impression.
It's MASH show, best show. Fucking great. I remember one time doing an impression of Mr. T and somebody saying that's racist. And I said, how is it racist? It's Mr. T. Mr. T is one of those figures that transcends race. It's just...
I was going to say, why don't you just go around in your day-to-day life talking like Mr. T? Because why? If I were you, I'd do that all the time. It's great.
Oh, I tell a lie. Mr. T was voiced by Mr. T.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, excellent. I always thought it was somebody else. But no, it was Mr. T voiced Mr. T.
Good.
As he should.
Makes me happy.
Well, it's not like he wasn't an actor.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what.
To be fair, before he became a cartoon of himself in the A-Team, when he was Clubber Lang, he's bloody good in that Rocky film. I saw it recently and he's actually really good.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say this. In my head, there's kind of a trilogy of cartoons. I think it's because I blogged about them all at the same time. The Mr. T cartoon, the MC Hammer cartoon, and the New Kids on the Block cartoon.
Hammer Man, Hammer, Hammer Man, Hammer. I blame Stacey for this. Hammer Man, Hammer. Because Stace, Bob and the Dweebs did a review of the first Hammerman episode, I think. But all it was basically just half an hour of her, Duncan and her husband going, Hammer Man, Hammer, Hammer Man. So it's like the intro to Hammerman is about a minute long. And it's just basically the plot.
Yeah.
The whole plot.
I always think, if we're gonna talk about one of them, we need to talk about all three. I feel like the trilogy in my universe trilogy.
Because you got Hammerman was on Channel 4, I remember, on a Sunday morning. And I really enjoyed it. I used to really like... What was the other one?
The New Kids on the Block cartoon.
See, I've never seen that. I've seen the House Party one. The Kid and Play cartoon.
No.
And I always think that there's a sort of early 90s era, late 80s, early 90s, because like I would like people to realise just how massive MC Hammer was. Because he's a bit of a joke. He's considered a bit of a joke. And it's, oh, what were we thinking? And it's like, no, he was legitimately massive. They had Ice-T sticking up for him. Because I remember there was a programme, and it was like a music programme, and somebody was taking the piss out of him and saying, oh, he's a sellout, he's ridiculous, he's a cartoon. And Ice-T said, well, he's worked really hard to get where he is, and he does what he does, and he does it well. And the thing about hip-hop is it should welcome all this stuff, because we're sort of the ginger-headed stepchild of music. Nobody likes us. So we should always stick up for any form of hip-hop. Yeah, all right, go to this guy. And I'm thinking, Ice-T, you're all right. I like you, Ice-T. You're fine. So, I mean, he had this... He was everywhere. And part of that was the cartoon. And the cartoon was badly animated, but wasn't actually a bad cartoon. I've seen worse. I've seen Sharky and George.
It was just very strange watching.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, he had this... What did he have? A magic saxophone or a magic...
Magic shoes.
Oh, was it magic shoes? Right, okay.
Magic talking shoes.
He used to do something, but it's like the words, the magic words that came out of whatever magic he was doing.
Yeah.
It was really nonsensical, like Chad.
Oh, yeah.
They used to be like Chad, and like in the old Batman.
Yeah.
Where they just used to have like random ass words.
Poof, Pam, Gazonk.
Well, more random than that, because I think these were actual words. They just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, wank. That's Captain America, though, isn't it?
Same thing. And it's just very entertaining. But I always feel like in my head, that is a shared universe on its own.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's like Clarissa Explains It All exists in the same universe as Sabrina, I think.
Yeah, possibly.
I think so. I used to quite like Clarissa. How bad is that? I was like 15 years old, and I'm like, this is quite good, actually.
Oh. Let me think. Moving on.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about good one?
Well, I was going to talk about the Raggy Dolls very quickly first.
Oh, that's fine.
Because it is forgotten. Really criminally forgotten.
I can't believe it's forgotten.
I think it is. I think it's been well forgotten. I think that's criminal. But the Raggy Dolls was made by Yorkshire Television and created by Melvin Jacobson. But I think the real creative driving force was the mighty monster that is Mr. Neil Innes.
Yeah.
Because he wrote most of it. He voiced pretty much all of it. He did all the music, and he basically produced the whole thing. Neil Innes is great. It's an interesting story about how he got into cartoons. He'd been in music for years and years, because obviously he was sort of like the 6th, 7th Python, wasn't he? He was the sort of the unofficial Python. And he'd been in the Monster Dog Doodah Band, I think it was.
Okay.
For years. And they basically petered out, and he was getting nowhere, and he was basically sick of all the backbiting in the music industry. And somebody said, well, why don't you work in kids' television? Because Yorkshire Television are looking for someone to work in kids' television. So he said, I'll give it a go. And then he got Puddle Lane out of that, which was awesome. I loved Puddle Lane when I was a kid. And then he got the Raggy Dolls, which started in about 1986. And it's set in a toy factory, and it's a load of imperfect dolls thrown into a reject bin. And when they're not being observed by humans, they come to life and have adventures. So it's like kind of like Toy Story before Toy Story.
Fun fact. Claude.
Yes.
For many, many years, I didn't know what his his defect. I was going to say his disability. I didn't know what his defect was. And I always thought it was just, he's French. French people are a bit shit. I always thought that's what they were trying to say.
Well, that's the reason.
It's not. It's something like he's meant to be English, but he's translated, like he's programmed in the wrong language.
No, he's programmed in the right language. It says, I'm looking at the wiki now, he fell out of a box of dolls being shipped to France and was left behind. So he was put in the bin out of the lack of other places to be. So his defect is that he's French. Which in a post-Brexit world.
Oh.
But you've got Sad Sack, who was a sample of a design that was deemed too expensive to mass produce. So he's not a defect as such, he's just expensive. Dottie,
Yes.
She's the oldest. She's so named because she accidentally had paint spilt on her. So that's her defect. Got high fives, got a stammer. He was dropped during testing. Lucy, her limbs are inadequately attached with nylon thread, so they will come off. So it's loose. Yeah. Back to front. He's back to front. We've got Claude. Princess should have been a beautiful doll, but the machine accidentally cut her hair and left her dress in rags. But she's still a bit of a aristocrat. And you got Ragamuffin, who is a wandering traveller doll who lost his own and decided to spend his life taking in new sights and experiences. Yeah. But he was Poochie, basically. He was introduced later on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was 1986 is what I'll say, so it's of its time. So the defects aren't really what you'd consider defects now. But, it was inclusive. It was trying to say it doesn't matter what you look like or if there's anything wrong with you. You can still have loads of adventures and be cool.
I thought that was a great show, and it's consistently one of the best kids theme tunes as well.
Oh, well, it's Neil Innes, isn't it? Come on now. If he can't write a tune, no one can.
Exactly.
And I still know all the words.
You're right. You're right about it being a very, very inclusive show. Before it had to be, as well, it was ahead of its time. I mean, now, sure, there's nothing wrong with being inclusive, but now I suspect it's forced. I suspect they have quotas they've got to fill.
Yeah, and I don't think they did back in 1986. They never gave a shit about who was watching.
It was even better back then because this guy just came along and right, I'm gonna do a show for all the kids that feel like they're a bit shit because they don't fit in. I'm going to show you. Well, who gives a shit? If you don't fit in, because the people that fit in are generally crap anyway. That was what message I took away from the show as a kid, and I liked it very much.
I loved Raggy Dolls. I watch it on YouTube sometimes.
Yeah,
it's still a good show.
It was funny and it was well written as well. It wasn't
Neil Innes is a god.
Yeah.
He's ace. I love Neil Innes to bits. He's one of the funniest people in any of the Python films, especially Holy Grail. He's ace in the Holy Grail. But he's great in everything he does, and he's really funny and witty, and his Twitter's pretty good, so you should follow him on Twitter. But the Raggy Dolls, like I say, it was a really good show. Yorkshire Television during that period kept putting out loads of good stuff. Because, like I say, Puddle Line was one of theirs. You had, I think, Grim Tales. That was one of theirs.
Now, that's a word I haven't heard for a long time. What was that? What was
it Grim Tales Rick Mail?
Oh, God. Was it like a Jack and Ori kind of thing?
Yeah. So what? Grim Tales Rick Mail. There we go. So Grim Tales. So was it Yorkshire? No, Central. But Central and Yorkshire, I always get confused because they both made loads of good television. But yeah, it was Rick Mail telling tales in his own inimitable way from his armchair.
Oh.
So had paws and ostrich legs.
I must have watched that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And there was other. Fat Tulip's Garden was good as well.
No.
Remember that?
No, not at all.
Fat Tulip's Garden was literally Tony Robinson walking around a house in a garden and telling stories about a guy called Fat Tulip who had adventures. And it's fucking ace. It's one of the best. Literally just Tony Robinson telling stories. Walking about. So good. And that's where my unabiding love of Tony Robinson comes. It's not from Baldrick, as much as I love Baldrick. It's that. That's the best thing he ever did. That's what, as far as I'm concerned, that's why he got the knighthood.
Did he get that?
He's Sir Tony Robinson, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tend to be very out of the loop when it comes to popular culture and anything happening.
Yeah, no, he's Sir Tony.
Oh, that's nice.
I think it's all the Time Team stuff he got that for. But as far as I'm concerned, he got it for Fat Tulip. It was great. And again, nobody remembers it. It is on YouTube, if you want to watch it. It's based on a set of books that somebody else had written, but obviously he was very good at telling the stories. So, but Jack and Ori, there was another one that was ace. When you got the right person doing it.
Yeah.
So Rick Mail doing George's Marvellous Medicine is always a classic as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, well, while we're on the topic of the good shows, Stop It and Tidy Up.
That was Wogan, wasn't it?
Yes, that was, and actually still is, one of my favourite cartoons to watch. I binge watched it again the other day because I used to have them all on video. But yeah, I binge watched them all, and they are still really, really funny. I mean, for those of you that don't remember Stop It and Tidy Up, it was, oh God, what was it? It was basically a series of, now, I'm going to be a hypocrite here, because it was basically just their character is their name, and it's a pun on something else, and that's it.
Yes.
You know, there's no character development, but it's meant to be that. It's not trying to be anything else. It's meant to be that, and it works because it's that. So, okay, for example, all these monsters live in the land of do as you're told, which gives you an idea as to where the show's going. And they're all called things that your parents always wanting you to do. So go to bed, clean your teeth, don't
Not
do
now.
it. Not now.
I said no.
Yeah, the big bad I said no. The two behave and be quiet.
Wasn't it because I said so as well or something?
No, it's just the big bad I said no, not now. And go and play with his favourite toy. But yeah, there were various creatures like this who wandered around having sort of mild adventures, and it was nice. I mean, the adventures they were never threatening or anything. It was just stuff like, oh, they got lost one day, or one day there was a farting spider in the garden, which is just my favourite. Don't do that. It sounds like you're dressed in some sort of sex pest. Don't do that. It was quite good. Or the big bad I said no was planning to steal some gherkins. So it's this proper nice, gentle TV. And it was sponsored in part by Keep Britain Tidy.
Yeah.
Which that is always a worthwhile cause. And it's just a very, very good show because it's kind of mental and it's funny. It's got that mental sense of humour.
Well, it was created by the same guys who did Trapdoor.
Oh, right, now that makes sense.
And the guy who animated it is a guy called Steve Box, who later went on to Aardman. So you can tell by looking at the animation it's Aardman.
If you like all that stuff, then you like stuff in tidy up.
But yeah, I mean, there's another one, Trapdoor.
Trapdoor, yeah, but I think everyone remembers Trapdoor.
I think they do, but I don't think nostalgia boomy types talk about it enough because it was so clever and it was so weird and odd and abstract.
Yeah.
And I always loved abstract stuff when I was a kid. Like Stop It and Tidy Up was the same. It was just weird. And weird is good. You don't see enough weird in kids. Not weird like, as in will make you think sort of Douglas Adams type weird. You see shit like In the Night Garden, which is just odd.
I like In the Night Garden.
It's terrible. It's by fucking Ragdoll Productions, so it's by default awful.
I like Ragdoll Productions.
I hate them. Fucking Rosie and Jim.
No, I love
Tots fucking TV. I hate so much Tots TV.
I'm going to make you do an episode about Tots TV, Pob, and Rosie and Jim.
Oh, fucking Pob. I'd forgotten about Pob. Or as I like to call him, Lembit Opik.
Oh.
He spat at the screen.
Technically, he was supposed to be breathing on it.
Yeah, well, he spat.
But yeah, they couldn't actually do a proper breathing mechanism on a puppet. I don't know. It was possibly furniture. Also, I apologise if anyone's just wearing headphones and Glenn's just done that at you.
Okay, I don't care. Turn them down.
What did they use? Furniture polish for Pob.
Yes, I think they use furniture polish. They used to have like an actor every week or somebody. I remember the Milligan one. They actually got Spike Milligan on Pob.
Right.
And what was her name? Off the Liver Birds, not Never Shoes, although I think she did do it. Was it Polly James, the other one? Off the Liver Birds. I remember Nerity. The only thing I remember about Pob, the only time I ever watched it, is the last 5 minutes because it was on just before the Crystal Maze and Wurzel Gummidge Down Under. And I used to like Wurzel Gummidge Down Under and the Crystal Maze, because who doesn't like the Crystal Maze?
That's fair enough.
But that's all. They used to have that weird chat show as well, where it was you and a computer, so like a famous person, a computer in inverted commas, asked them questions. Star Test or something it was called. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
It was literally sort of the forerunner to like Big Brother, really. I mean, in the style it was filmed. So you get a famous person, you're relatively famous anyway, so like Boy George, that kind of level of fame we're looking at here. And they'd sit down and this computer, supposedly, would ask them questions. And it was just them basically... It was like the forerunner to vlogging.
Yeah.
So it's like sort of like YouTube is now, I guess. But I used to watch that. I used to think it was quite good. But that was on a Sunday morning. You used to get like Def 2 on the other side. Like Magenta Divine going around places in the Rough Guide and stuff like that. And Rapido.
Oh, God.
It was Antoine de Caen.
Yeah.
I love him. He's like, I sort of Rapido.
What we talking about? Oh, so Stop It and Tidy Up. Stop it.
Yeah, but anyway.
The reason Stop It and Tidy Up was so funny for me was very simple. They just make rude noises. And honestly,
that's all you need, really, isn't it?
Yes, to entertain kids, all you need is have them make some rude noises. And that's it. It's just
SpongeBob been doing it for years.
They never said anything. They had no dialogue. It was all just Terry Wogan's narration.
Yeah, it was like Pingu, but Pingu doesn't even have narration.
Pingu is another fine show. I love Pingu.
Well, it's French, wasn't it, Pingu?
Oh.
It was one of those things. It just had no speech, no narration. It just told everything through the medium of vision, and that was it. And you had moot. And it was that, like Morph. I just like Morph.
They did mix up, hang on. Pingu. Yeah, they mixed up a load of languages to create sort of Pinguish.
Yeah, so they did that with the clangers. I remember Oliver Postgate telling a story about meeting a German fan. And the German fan says, I don't know how you do it. How do you get everything in German? How do you make them speak German? He says, well, they don't. They speak clangerish, I suppose. But really, it's English. He said, no, it's German. They're speaking German.
Yeah.
And he's like, because of that simple thing of not having them really say anything, then you know everybody can relate to it. That's lest we forget that's how Rowan Atkinson made his money with Mr. Bean.
Pingu is Swiss British.
No, well, French then effectively, but very odd program, very surreal. Pingu, some of the situations that they get in and stuff, really odd. But I remember it being on. I remember quite liking Pingu.
I still find it funny as an adult. I do.
I've not seen it. I should watch it, really.
It's the same thing if you like Aardman. If you like that kind of stuff, you like Pingu. You should rewatch Pingu. It's very funny.
I quite liked it when it was on.
Do you want to pick a show?
A what, sorry?
Do you want to pick a show?
Yes, well, I've actually got one, because I was thinking about this. Ones when I was a kid that never get talked about. So you've got all the ones like Bad Puss, Mr. Ben, that kind of thing. One that you never get sort of nostalgised over is Ray Brooks's King Rollo.
Oh, I like
which was it was created by the same guy who did Mr. Ben, which is David McKee, back in 1980.
I've only ever seen it on reruns because I think I'm a bit young to have seen it first time around. But I saw
possibly.
I saw it when Nick Jr. used to do Noggin.
Well, they used to have a section on BBC around lunchtime, just before or just after the 1 o'clock news. This is before sort of pre-Neighbours came along.
Right.
Because obviously Neighbours took that sort of 1:35 slot, and that's what people would watch. But before that happened, you had this little continuity thread called Seesaw.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kids' programmes. And you used to get two. That's why it's called Seesaw, because you had one on either side. So you'd have like Pigeon Street and Mr. Ben.
Oh, okay.
Bad Puss and the Mr. Ben. And you often got King Rollo was part of that as well. And it's, like I said, done by the same guy who created Mr. Ben, David McKee. And it was in 1980, so you probably did catch it on reruns, because it was rerunning until like the 90s. And like all good programmes of this type, it was 13 episodes. It was on in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just about a king called Rollo, who's childlike and he's always in need of advice and assistance from his mates. So among these, you had the magician, who was my favourite character in that whole thing. He was like a father figure. You had the cook, who was like his mother figure. And it was probably the real ruler of the kingdom, because she told him what to do a lot of the time. He had his neighbour and girlfriend, Queen Gwen. He had King Frank and Rollo's cat, Hamlet, who was usually, as with all cats and dogs, wiser than the guy who owns them.
Right.
But the animation was the same style as Mr. Ben, so it was all like colourful cutout paper. And characters' legs would rotate outwards when walking. So he was all looked a bit weird, but it was nice. It was Ray Brooks did the narration, and I love Ray Brooks' voice. So whenever I hear him on anything, I just think King Rollo. He did Mr. Ben as well, I think, did Ray Brooks, but he worked quite closely with David McKee. But yeah, just awesome stuff. I really enjoyed King Rollo, probably even more than Mr. Ben. I never really got into Mr. Ben that much. It was all right, but I was never that big a fan. But King Rollo, massive fan of King Rollo.
See, because I've only ever seen these shows as an adult, I like them very much as an adult. But I mean, in 1980, I was -3 years old.
Yeah, I was 4. I was exactly the right age.
Exactly. So I've only ever really seen these as an adult.
Yeah.
I find them to be very relaxing and lovely to watch.
Well, that was the idea. I mean, at the end of the day, that was exactly... Think about what time of day this is on. So it's post-lunch. So kids have just had their lunch, sit them outside the back post or sit them in King Rollo. They're going to nap.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea, is to set the kids to sleep.
That's what I was going to ask. How were kids supposed to view it? Was it supposed to be exciting to kids or not?
No, story time. It was story time. You put them in front of that. And it's like, do you remember... Did you have story nap times at school? Because I did.
I will have done, yeah.
You had your lunch, and then the teacher would sit you all down, and then tell a story, and then you'd fall asleep.
I don't remember going to sleep at school.
Oh, I do. I'm still chasing that school sleep. Forever and ever. But that was the idea, because not everybody had kindergarten back in those days. Or not everybody had sort of access to primary schools and that. But mainly kindergarten sort of age. You'd stick them in front of that. It was like an offshoot of what used to be watched with Mother.
Right.
But this was specifically to set the little buggers to sleep. So you've just had your lunch. Put you in front of something not too exciting, kind of exciting, but not too exciting. So you had things like Bod.
Oh, yeah.
Which, again, doesn't get talked about. Especially that frog with the milkshake. Do you remember that?
No, I do not.
In the Bod cartoon, there was another one. He was called something like Carlos the Frog or something. This amazing band.
I've only ever seen one episode of Bod, so I'm not down with the kids, obviously, on this.
No. But when there was this frog and he had this band and he played a tune and you had to guess what flavour his milkshake was.
Right.
And it was usually something out of left field, like Loganberry. Stuff that kids would not have access to. But that was awesome. That was ace. King Rollo was ace. Mr. Men was ace. But I'm not on about the Canadian ones or the Simon Greenall ones. As good as they are, they will never beat Arthur Lowe telling me a nice, gentle story about Mr. Grady.
Yeah.
I love them so much. I have them all on DVD, including All the Little Misses with John Alderton.
Oh, that's nice.
And if I can't sleep, I will happily put on my Chromecast Mr. Men, and I will fall asleep.
Oh.
It's either that or pages from CFAX. But it's relaxing. It's ASMR before ASMR was a thing.
What's ASMR?
ASMR is people whispering at the camera to get you to relax. And tapping, things like tapping and crinkling and quiet. I call them quiet videos because the whole point of them is to relax you. And you're supposed to get a tingly response, although I never do. I just fall asleep. But they don't mind. That's part of it. But it's a whole YouTube subgenre.
No, you've just reminded me. I was stopping at my dad's for a while, years back, and I had to sleep on the settee. So the point is I had Sky TV, and I struggled to sleep quite badly. And I used to watch baby TV to get me to sleep. That was amazing.
That's ASMR. It's anything sort of Bob Ross.
Oh yeah.
He is known as the original ASMR artist because he's just so relaxing and nice, and you will fall asleep in front of it. And that is the idea of like King Rollo and stuff. It was sort of gentle. Bagpuss especially is so gentle and so calming. It's unbelievable. But that, like I said, that was the whole point of it. Seesaw was just to fall asleep, children, let your mum get on with her housework.
If you love all that stuff, how come you don't like In the Night Garden? Because it's the same thing.
It's the same problem I have with all ragdolly and a home type stuff. Anne Wood, sorry. Anne Wood. It's nonsense. It's fucking Bill and Ben. I can't be doing with any of that bollocks. You can do the same thing without treating children like complete morons. And
So 30-year-old women.
I can't be doing with it. It's like, it was always a thing of, I remember when Teletubbies was a thing, and people say, oh, yeah, it's just nonsense, and then people say, oh, well, Bill and Ben was just nonsense, and I was like, yes, they're both shit. That's the whole point, they're both crap. What's wrong with putting in front of Bloody Bagpuss or Noggin the Nog or something with actual genuine charm? But, you know, either the Engine, there's another one.
Yeah.
Fucking
I went to see all these. They were at Wolverhampton Art Gallery.
Oh, the Postgate stuff.
Yeah, all the Postgate stuff. Zippy and George were there.
Cool.
The Spoon family. They're huge. Spoon family, huge in real.
Oh, yeah, they're massive.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, yeah, because it was all people in black Zentai suits, morph suits behind them, wasn't it?
But you don't realise when you're watching it as a kid, you just think they're like Barbie size.
Well, what annoys me is I remember when I was a kid, people said, oh, it was really badly made and it was shit and it was this. It really wasn't, you know.
It wasn't.
It was really well made and they put some actual effort and thought into it.
Well, they have to, because now everything is done on a computer.
Yeah. And there's only one that I've ever watched that actually gave me genuine charm, and that was Pocoyo. And that's probably because Stephen Fry did it.
I love Pocoyo.
Pocoyo was great.
Pocoyo with a passion. My ringtone for about 5 years was the octopus.
Pocoyo was really like the early 80s kids' TV programs. Like, reminded me a bit of things like Finger Bobs.
Narrated by Stephen Fry.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all you need, really, isn't it?
Yeah. But if you haven't seen Pocoyo, guys, honestly, go and YouTube it. Now, you probably get a lot of it dubbed in Spanish, because it is a Spanish.
It is Spanish.
But if you can find an English version narrated by Stephen Fry, it is a cracking show.
Yeah, I mean, it was like kind of like Magic Roundabout-y sort of stuff as well. It was a bit surreal, a bit odd sometimes. It was great. But you have things like Finger Bobs, like Finger Mouse and stuff like that. That was, again, really relaxing.
Yeah.
Super relaxing, because you're watching that American guy, Rick, whatever his name is, it's on Play School, making Finger Mouse and the prawn. Scampi, sorry. Scampi was always my favourite. Not prawn, it was Scampi. Big difference there. And they had the seagull as well.
I've only seen this on clip shows and like little bits.
Oh, it was great. Finger Mouse was great. It was really... the tortoise was good as well. And it was really clever the way it was just all hand puppetry. It was... Like I said, it looks low budget, and it was low budget, but it wasn't badly made. It was really well made stuff. Things like Play School. I was thinking about Play School earlier on. And our generation, we were lucky. The presenters we had and things like that were great, like Floella Benjamin and Derek Griffiths.
Yeah.
And Brian Cant. And of course the king of them all, Johnny Ball.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Johnny Ball was ace.
I'm just trying to think, who do they have now? Because I have no idea.
Last time I saw, I don't think they have anything like that now, but they used to in the 90s have, I mean, they had some good presenters like Dave Benson Phillips.
Fun fact, Dave Benson Phillips is my best friend in my imagination. Fun fact.
Well, I mean, I can see why. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I used to like Dave Benson Phillips.
Yeah.
Kirsten, I can't remember her name now, but Kirsten Thingamajig, who used to be on CBBC all the time, she was going to get married to Alan Davis at some point.
Also about Dave Benson Phillips. Two things about Dave Benson Phillips, right? Number one, he squirted me with a super soaker in Edinburgh.
I'm glad you specified that.
As part of his Get Your Own Back Live.
Cool.
And the other thing is, he is actually featured in my first Geek Showcase article, which should be up this month. Now, he got together with two comedians, and they've created a show called Getting Back with Dave Benson Phillips, which is a YouTube mockumentary series. It's Dave Benson Phillips, after having loads of failed businesses, has gone on to managing a really, really the world's shittest blogger called Ryan. And it's all about them trying to get somewhere, and the blogger doing various shit challenges. You know, just basically desperately trying to get subscribers and viewers.
Actually,
It is phenomenally funny. But it for some reason it just hasn't gained traction. And the main guy that does the publicity for it is a comedian called Andrew River. And I speak to him on Twitter, and they're all really, really nice people, and they're really talented guys who do this. So I would say, if you want to watch anything like that, it's called Getting Back with Dave Benson Phillips. And disclaimer, they're not paying me to say this.
no.
Like, I don't know Dave Benson Phillips personally. I wish I did.
Yeah,
But,
I was saying.
it's a really, really funny show, and it's really well made, and there's a lot of love being put into it, but they don't seem to be getting enough, acknowledgement for doing it. And I think it's a show that deserves to be watched. So if you guys are on YouTube, surfing the old information superhighway, give that a look, because it is really funny and you'll binge watch it.
And yet, some shit on YouTube, you think, why is this getting so many views?
Exactly.
Jenna fucking Marbles, for example. Why? Who's watching it?
This is part of the tide I am trying to stem.
Yes.
I'm trying to bring some really good content.
That boggles my mind that they're not getting many views and stuff, because it is now 90s nostalgia time.
It is, honestly, it's even without the nostalgia, it is a really, really funny show. I mean, really brilliantly done, and it's got Pat Sharp in it, as Benson Phillips' arch.
Well, he's the ITV version of Dave Benson Phillips, isn't he?
So there was literally no reason to not watch this show.
Pat Sharp's awesome.
Exactly.
I love Pat Sharp. I really love Pat. I love the fact that for years he refused to cut the mullet. It's like, fuck you. This is my style, man. I'll cut it with my cold, dead hands. It's no passant. Thus far and no further. You shall not pass.
Well, what I will say, guys and dolls, if you see that show and you like it, do them a favour. Like I say,
share it.
I'm not getting anything out of this. I just really want them to do well because I like them. Share it, watch it, and share it.
Tweet and share on Facebook and all that kind of good stuff.
Give it a watch because they really deserve a lot more viewers than they get. But I mean, if you read my Den of Geek thing, I'll tweet it.
Well, of course I will.
Finish it to episode 1 anyway when it's out. So, but yeah, that was just me going up on. I'm going to try and make this every time I come on the podcast from now on. I'm going to go off on a Dave Benson Phillips tangent. I think.
That's why I have no problem with that.
In that way, yeah.
Who doesn't like Dave Benson Phillips? I suppose trying to think what the equivalent in the 80s would have been, because obviously Pat Sharp came at the late 80s.
Now would it have been Timmy Mallet?
Yeah, and Stu Francis, if you remember Stu Francis.
No, but would it have been Gaz Top as well?
No, he wasn't really wacky. I wouldn't ever say that Gaz was wacky, because
Dave Benson Phillips was nowhere near as wacky as Timmy Mallet, but Timmy Mallet was wacky in a bad way.
But no, I don't agree with that. Timmy Mallet was supposed to be 9 years old. That's the thing I keep telling people.
Pat Sharp is not wacky at all, I don't think.
No, Pat Sharp was your cool uncle.
Yeah.
He was your cool uncle. Stu Francis was sort of early 80s Pat Sharp. He was on Crackerjack. Crackerjack! And he was could crush a grape, if you remember.
No.
Ooh, I could crush a grape. Ooh, I could smash a doll's house.
I always thought that was Larry Grayson, is it not?
No,
okay.
That was Shut That Door. It was kind of like a watered-down Larry Grayson, less camp sort of version. But this is when Crackerjack was on in the early 80s before Michael Gray canned it in 1984, when Chaz and Dave did the theme tune, so you can understand why I liked it. But Crackerjack had been on since the 60s, and it was a bit tired, if we're being honest, and so Grid cancelled it along with things like Rent-A-Ghost.
All right.
And that's when CBBC became a proper thing, when Grade was in charge of the BBC. But I never forgive him for. I mean, he fucked around with Doctor Who, which I don't forgive him for, Michael Grade. But he really fucked around and cancelled Rent-A-Ghost, and I've never quite forgiven him for that. Because he cancelled Grandad as well with Clive Dunn, but that's all right, because that was shite. But Rent-A-Ghost, I took that personally, frankly. I used to like Rent-A-Ghost.
Well, I'm glad you've got your priorities in order.
Well, obviously. But yes, so Stu Francis was sort of the early 80s Pat Sharp, and then, I don't know, the mid 80s Pat Sharp would have been. Cheggers, maybe, because he was playing pop at that time, wasn't he?
No, so we just have very slightly different frames of reference here, because that I never watched anything like that. I mean, now, for me, you're talking mid-80s at the very earliest.
Oh, yeah.
Born in 83.
Yeah, well, exactly. I was 6 years.
Into late 80s. Very...
Like 6, 7 years on you. So I was sort of late 70s, early 80s. I can remember things like The Flashing Blade and Heidi.
Okay.
Which was a German thing that was dubbed into very bad English. And it went on forever. Like D'Artagnan and Ulysses and things like that.
Oh, God. That's another show we're going to have to do.
Ulysses.
D'Artagnan, Mysterious Cities of Gold, and Around the World with Willy Fogg.
Oh, yeah. All Japanese made for the Spanish market. Apart from Mysterious Cities of Gold, that was French. Yeah. But D'Artagnan, yeah, it's Japanese made for the Spanish market and American dubbed. And the guy who plays D'Artagnan is the guy who plays Leonardo in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
Clark. Okay. Yeah, because he was an anime. Before he was an American voice artist, he was an anime voice artist. And it's technically classed as anime. It's D'Artagnan.
Wow.
Yeah, so's Willy Fogg, so's Mysterious Cities of Gold, which isn't too far. Ulysses, that's not a surprise at all. Ulysses was awesome. But, yeah, there was some... The early 80s was very brown, and then all of a sudden they discovered colour, and it was very colourful for the rest of the decade. And that's the decade I'm guessing you're more familiar with.
No, it's that theory, isn't it? The decade doesn't start until a few years into the decade.
Yeah, it's that thing about the 80s start. Well, the 80s, they say, started in 1977 because of Star Wars.
Oh, no, see, I disagree. For the simple reason that I don't like Star Wars. So I can't possibly go...
Why do I keep having you on?
I don't know, because you love me. Cause...
Sure, let's say that.
No, but to me it's... Yeah, I would say, like, the 80s, the early 80s is the 70s. Just like the early 90s.
It's very disco. Well, yeah, I mean, that's why we've got the remit we have on the show, because it's like 1977, 78 is when... As far as I'm concerned, the 80s start, and they ended in 1994 when Oasis brought out Definitely Maybe, and ruined everything.
If you're talking about more general, vague cultural stuff, in the early 80s, everything was brown, like
oh yeah,
80s. And then in the early 90s, everything was colourful, like
Dayglow,
like in the majority of the 80s. I just think there is this weird overlap. This is a fascinating conversation to have, but maybe at a later date. Because it's just like, these decades that we're in now don't seem to have any identity, but that might just be because we're adults now and we just can't see it.
It's partly that, and partly because we're in them, so we can't see. It's like the early 2000s. You can go back now and watch telly and watch idents and stuff from the early 2000s. You can totally tell that that's the early 2000s.
Now, I would argue the same. Early 2000s is the 90s.
I don't think it is. I think the late 90s is the early 2000s. I know that doesn't make much sense, but it just, there was this corporate sensibility that infested everything, and it's sort of never gone away. And we're all a bit cocky, and we're all a bit... It's a reality show thing that's coming into its own, and that was the late 90s that started with fucking Driving School, and then you've got all the bloody rise of the X Factor and Britain's Got Talent and Pop Stars, which is what it was originally. And to be fair, if you go back now and watch the early Pop Stars and things like that, it's so amateurish.
It probably
the way it's set up. Oh, it's unwatchable. It's terrible. But I still maintain to this day one of the most fascinating and interesting programs I've ever seen was the first series of Big Brother. Not now, not what it became. The first series was amazing. Especially when they found that pencil in Nick's bag. I've never seen hours of such tense television. And it was just people confronting people about a pencil. But it was, you got caught up in it, and it was amazing. But now we've got shit like fucking Love Island, which everybody's going on about, Britain's Got Talent. And I just think in the 80s you didn't have it, because you had Threads in the 80s.
Threads was on a documentary,
It fucking is, It's going to happen. Donald Trump's trying his hardest to make it happen.
You did have talent shows back in the day as well.
But it was Bob Says Opportunity Knocks. This is the difference.
It was new faces. It was opportunity. What I was going to say, there was more of an event variety show to it, as opposed to a reality show. Nobody gave a shit if you had a soft story on New Faces. Nobody cared.
No, nobody gave a shit. You never had that. You had, this is a guy, he's obviously been down around the working man's clubs. He's a bit of a singer. Taking away Mike Doyle.
Yeah.
Who's still around, by the way, Mike Doyle. He's a bit of a legend in Wales. But Cannon and Ball came off that. Les Dawson came off that.
And that's great, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, the reality show format of it. Everything is going to slowly blend into one genre, which is...
Yeah, that's what Peter Kay did, isn't it, when he did the Superstar, blah, blah, blah.
Go further than that. Like, literally every show ever is eventually going to merge. If TV is around long enough, every show is going to merge into this weird super genre with all this shit in it.
With all the soap and all that kind of...
It's going to be as dramatic and low common denominator as possible.
I think you might be right, but that's only on what they used to call the terrestrial channels. I think the thing is, because there's so much different content out there now with your Netflix, with your Amazons and so on, they're making telly as it used to be.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Take something like The Crown. That is something like Jewel in the Crown, like the Forsyth Saga, like the Thornbirds, like things like that. That's what The Crown is, and that's ironically what people want to watch. Well, I was reading something on TV Cream. Love TV Cream, great site. And they're doing this thing about weekend television. And it's been running for about a year now. It's been running a long time. And they're basically just charting the rise of weekend television in the late 70s and the 80s. And they're on to the part now where it is the Thornbirds. Now, I remember how I don't remember watching it because I was too young, but it was huge. Everybody my nan watched it. My great nan used to watch Shogun. I remember this because I must have been 4 or 5 years old, around my great nana's house in Lincoln, because that's where she lived. She was watching Shogun and some dude got his head chopped off.
Wow.
And it's like, I'm 4, and she was watching this, and she was really enjoying it, and like, okay.
But I mean, well, okay, just this, and then we'll get back on topic. I mean, that is why I said if TV lasts that long.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
In normal 4 or 5 channels, if they even last that long, eventually give it long enough, and all the shows will just merge into one huge mess of. Somebody has to have sex, then buy a house, and then they read the news, but they've got to have a sub-story in order to do it. Honestly, it's all going to merge into one weird show.
I think that's why I like The Voice, because you tend not to hear the sub-stories too much. Not in the foreign versions of it. In the British version, you tend to, and it's creeping in, and I'm like, I don't want to know.
It's creeping.
Are you a good singer? That's all I want to know. The whole point of The Voice is, are you a good singer?
Alright, I'll tell you who that's aimed at. The woman sat next to me in the doctors who kept calling a magazine book.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's aimed at her, and we are massively outnumbered.
Oh, yeah. Because there's so much gammon in this country now.
That's where the money is.
What, in the gammon? Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that we have a term for them now. It's great.
It's not a political thing, it's just more... I wish there was a clever word for, someone who refers to a magazine as a book.
Yeah, there's a term for them, the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
The low-hanging fruit, as it were.
I guess.
People who are quite happy to watch nothing but X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, and fucking shitty soaps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't like this conversation because we sound really snotty saying this.
I'm not, I honestly, I don't care. I'm just caring about it because I know people who have no interest in watching anything but that. And that's fair enough if that's how you want to live your life. But don't think for a second that I'm going to be wanting to talk to you because I don't. I've got nothing in common with anybody who watches Love Island.
Yeah.
For any other reason than to stare at them. Because I know people who watch it and get engrossed in it and think it's fucking great. But I would only want to sneer at people who want to be on this type of program, or anybody like Kardashians or They were all surprised at work the other day because they had a quiz and it was basically name the picture of the person. And I could name every single Kardashian. And they were like, oh, I didn't think you watched it. But I don't. But I don't have a choice whether I see their faces or not everywhere. So I know who they are. I don't know who they are. But I'm never going to deny the fact that I think that television was better back in the day when there were only 3 channels, and maybe we need to go back to that because television used to tell you what you needed to watch. Like BBC Two was there for a reason, and it was there to teach you. It was there to entertain as well, but it was never like Channel 4 back in the day. Never used to be £1 million drop.
I was about to say, you said 3 channels. That would mean you'd want to get rid of Channel 4 and therefore Brookside, and I can't know that.
I'd want to get rid of Channel 4 as it is now. Yeah. I think go back to 4 channels and have Brookie back. Because Brookside was actually really good and wasn't trashy at all. But then it was basically grown up Grange Hill.
It was fantastic, Brookside.
Grange Hill was nice. I was thinking about Grange Hill the other day, actually, and thinking they couldn't get away with making Grange Hill now.
Oh, I will just say, just speaking of this, if you might not like this, but I do and other people will, Drama, the channel, throughout August, they're going to start showing classic EastEnders.
I will watch that.
Oh.
I would watch that. Original EastEnders was fucking great.
How are they going to start showing it?
It was when they tried competing with American soaps or things like when Emmerdale got all sexy and stuff. When they started trying to compete with that and Corro and brought in the Mitchell brothers, and I think that's when it started going. But the early days when Dirty Den was on it, and I should say R.I.P. to Leslie Grantham as well. That was very sad because Dirty Den. Who didn't want to be Dirty Den?
Me. I never wanted to be Dirty Den.
Every bloke at some point in their lives has wanted to be Dirty Den and get away with the shit that he got away with. Not actually do any of it, but there was a guy who basically consequence didn't exist for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was, the fact of the matter is, it was all right to root for him because Angie was as bad, if not worse, than he was. It was a really weird relationship because there was no good. You couldn't say, oh, poor Angie, what he puts her through, because she was way worse than he ever was. That was a woman who basically said that she was dying from cancer.
So, this is it. I'm going to have to watch it again from the start.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I love early EastEnders. No, I have no problem with early. It's just like I have no problem with it. Oh, I still really don't have much of a problem with Corro, but certainly in the early days when I was a kid, I used to watch Corro. That whole Ken and Deirdre and Mike Baldwin.
Yeah.
I remember I was only little and I was engrossed with that, and I really felt sorry for Ken Barlow. Even as a kid, I'm thinking I fucking hate Mike Baldwin. Fucking Baldwin, what a cunt! And yet that. To me, that is one of the best storylines a soap's ever had, including the ending. Because when Johnny Briggs left, obviously Mike Baldwin died.
Yeah.
But he died a broken man because he had Alzheimer's and he didn't even remember half the shit that he'd done to Ken Barlow.
Yeah.
But he remembered enough to ask him. He died in Ken Barlow's arms asking for forgiveness. I'm thinking, Jesus, that's good writing.
It is.
That's like a 30-year-old storyline that you still cared about.
Yeah, you won't do that now.
No, I don't think they could. Although, to be fair, Coronations, I don't watch it anymore. But I did keep up with all that stuff with Shane Ward, the suicide storyline.
I didn't watch that. But...
And everybody was really surprised about, it was sensitively dealt with by Coronation. In fact, I wasn't surprised that it was sensitively. They've got a history of doing that. Yeah, all right, it's not the most serious soap it's not EastEnders. But whenever it does deal with an issue, because I remember when Rita nearly got killed by Matt Bradley. Alan Bradley, and he got run over by the tram. It's like, that was really good storyline and handled really well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were going through shit like that.
I found something out I was watching the Pat Phelan thing for about
all right.
And I realised who's in Coronation Street. Fucking Richard Hawley. And Jesus Christ, I was a Long Pigs fan. It took me a while to equate the two, and I'm like, worlds have collided here.
That's because everybody wants to be in Coronation Street. I remember when fucking Ian McKellen was in Coronation Street.
It's just like, I'm still getting over that. My worlds have collided.
And I think, and Jacoby in it, he's not been in it yet, has he? Because he wants to be.
I don't know, was Snoop Dogg ever in it? Because I know he said he wanted to be in it.
He's a massive fan. He's a massive fan of Coronation Street. It's one more reason to love Snoop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, I don't watch it, but I remember shit that happened 30, 40 years ago in it.
Yeah.
When I was a really little kid. And I still think that sort of, if they showed it, and they used to show it on ITV3 years and years ago, classic Coronation Street, I used to watch it.
They still do.
Especially anything with Jack Duckworth in it.
Yeah, they still do show classic Coronation Street.
Oh, I'll have to go back to it, because I want to see all the 70s stuff again.
Yeah, ITV2 or 3, I can't remember, but it's pretty appealing. Couple of today.
I mean, I get a bit sneery about soaps now, but that's because I think they've gone too sensationalist now. And they've started, EastEnders especially, recycle storylines like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
And it never used to be. That wasn't the point of EastEnders at all, to be horrible and soapy like it is now. And Coronation Street sort of kind of avoids it. It kind of gets... The only time I think they got it really, really wrong was the Don Brennan one.
What happened with that?
He went mental, basically, because obviously he was with Ivy, wasn't he? Ivy Brennan.
Yeah.
Gail Tilsley's mum? No, Nikki Tilsley.
Brian Tilsley's mum.
Yeah, that's it, Brian and Gail's mother-in-law. And Don, basically, she married Don, and Don had a massive breakdown, lost a leg, I think.
Yeah.
And then, because he was a taxi driver, he got them all in his taxi on Christmas Day and tried to run them over a pier and drown them all.
So Richard Hillman was nicked from that?
Yeah, basically.
Oh.
But I don't think it was a good storyline. I think they got it wrong, because it was a ham-fisted mental illness storyline. I don't think they get away with it now. Because whereas Richard Hillman was calculating, he tried gaslighting Audrey, didn't he?
Yes.
Basically. He was great. I loved him. He was a fucking great character. It's when they get these cartoon villains in, it's always fun. Because they always like Phelan's a cartoon villain, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I didn't watch it much, but I watched the last week of Phelan, yeah.
He's what my nan would have called a wrong'un.
Yeah.
He's a wrong'un.
Yeah.
Because she used to say that about Brian Tilsley. She didn't like him. I didn't like Brian. He's a fucking awful actor, that's for sure.
You know, Philip Franks? My dad has always irrationally disliked Philip Franks. I don't like Philip Franks, he's got shifty eyes. That's all he'll ever say about Philip Franks. What's he ever done to you?
My granddad used to say that about Rolf Farris.
Well,
he was right. It turns out he was right. He said, I don't trust him. I just something about him I don't like. And I'm like, oh, come on, granddad, it's Rolf Farris. Everyone likes Rolf. No, don't like him. So I wasn't allowed to watch Rolf's cartoon time in his house because he just didn't trust him. It's like, dude, it's a shame you didn't live to see it, basically, because you were right.
So we're not saying Philip Franks is same as Rolf Farris.
No. I'm just saying that sometimes irrational hatred actually comes to fruition. Not very often. Who's Philip Franks? Who's he play?
He was in Darling But to Me, and he's on Countdown quite a lot.
Oh, I know him. Yeah, he played the tax collector dude, didn't he?
Yeah, who got off with Zeta Jones.
He's smug. He's a bit smug.
I have nothing against him, I don't mind.
He's no Giles Brandreth in Dictionary Corner. That's all I'll say.
Oh my god, we've really got off the topic.
Yeah, but we're still talking about the 80s, kind of. It's fine. We knew this would happen. Come on now.
Oh dear.
But yes, we should sort of bring this to a close. So,
you shouldn't call this, give this any titles, just call it something free for all, just free chat.
Well, we should do what all good comedy shows do, and let's title it at the end. So, what do you think it should be titled?
Pair of fucking women's knickers.
Say again, because you cut out.
A pair of fucking women's knickers.
Pair of fucking women's knickers. Okay. Cool. That's what it is. A pair of fucking women's knickers. That's what it is. Oh, I'll get people to listen, because they won't know what it is. Spain won 1-0, by the way.
Hey, that's my shoe.
So it looks like Spain are through. As if it was any doubt it was going to be Spain and Portugal through in that group. But never mind.
I'll see Peru win tomorrow. I would, just for their sake, because I'd like to see them win. But they won't, but I'd like them to.
Who's that?
Peru.
Peru?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because their kit looks like a kind of wed stripe. That's a really bad fucking thing for a guy with speech impediment like me who has to think about it constantly. But there you go.
But it'd be nice to see them win. Like, just a match.
Just and match, yeah.
Match. Yeah.
Just and match. Come on, Peru, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like Cameroon in '86.
Yes, I assume.
Yes.
I don't know, I was 3. I wasn't much into football when I was 3.
You suck. Jenny.
Hello.
Yeah, we've said it a couple of times, but where can you be found on the old wide world of the interwebs?
Twitter, the world of crap. And like I say from earlier, if you know of any vlogs or YouTubes or podcasts, this one excluded, I'm sorry, that don't get any audience but, deserve some, let me know on Twitter, send me a link, tell me what it is, and I'll do my best to get them some exposure.
Not that way.
That you can just see my shit blog, worldofcrap.co.uk, which I was about to do another rainbow comic and then time got away from me. So I'm doing another rainbow comic and that's going up tomorrow. Because I've got a World Cup one.
I want to see more Ross Kemp stuff as well.
Bloody hell, I've not done that for years. I don't even know where the guy's gone anymore who I used to do that for. I didn't do it on World of Crap, I did it on something called Yak Magazine.
Alright.
Oh no, that was right fun doing that. I didn't think anybody ever saw those.
I saw them.
I might do a couple more then, because they were right good. I've still got all old pictures in a folder somewhere.
Cool.
And then, what was it, Caniston Horse?
Yes, Caniston Horse.
I can't remember. Yeah, I might do another one.
You need to involve Bum the Gladiator as well.
Gladiator, yes. Oh, well, this is bites of nostalgia.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's what this podcast is about, so there you go. If you want to find us on Twitter, back to the 80s, it's at BTTEpod, and also facebook.com/BTTEpod as well. The content on there most nights, won't be some soon because I'm going on hollybobs. So, I'll be away for a couple of weeks, but, I'll put some stuff up if I can while I'm there. But, if you want to find me, Glenn Jakeman on Facebook and also at Cymru Nerd Cave on Twitter. So it's at Cymru as in the place, Wales, Cymru, Google it, and then Nerd Cave. And also on YouTube, Cymru Nerd Cave on there as well. We'll be starting to make more content. It's been so fucking warm, and when it's warm, I can't be bothered. It's a bad thing, I know. Plus, also the World Cup is sort of. Well, why would I create stuff when I can sit down and watch Russia versus Iran? It's like I will seriously just watch every match. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Why would I watch every match? Why did I watch half of Spain versus Iran tonight? God's sake, you wouldn't watch that if it was just a normal friendly, would you?
No, but it's not just normal friendly, and it's your duty to watch it for reasons that I've never thought of yet, but I will.
I need to fill up my sticker album as well.
Jealous, we've got started one.
Yeah, it's always cool. We shall leave you this week with the theme from the big match from 1980 to 1986, because I've been listening to it a lot. It's called Jubilation, and it's by a guy called Jeff Wayne. Now, if you don't know who Jeff Wayne is, how dare you, what you listen to this podcast for? He's the guy who did the musical version of War of the Worlds. And it's a song I hadn't heard for a long time. I used to watch football with my granddad, and that was the theme at the time. And I'm listening to it, I'm thinking, this sounds like something else. I mean, this sounds like Brave New World from War of the Worlds, Storm that David Essex sings. It's like, yeah, it pretty much is the same song. Damn you, Jeff Wayne. But it's a really good song. I really like it a lot. So that's what we're leaving you with, and possibly some football thing from years ago as well. Sorry, it's the World Cup. It's only once every 4 years, as I said to somebody the other day. Jenny.
Hello.
Say bye-bye to everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you again very soon, guys. Bye-bye for now.